Welcome to the Nuff Said podcast. We are convening here to speak about Season 2, Episode 4 of Agent Carter, Smoke and Mirrors. Could you tell I was stalling there because I couldn't think of the name? I'm Rob Southgate. With me,
Jack Wengrosky.
And Alil Kunica.
And Jack, you're driving. I could hear the wind whipping through the door there.
Yeah, I've got my Maserati convertible. It's just enjoying the nice Miami weather. Actually, I'm one of those is a lie.
Let's see which one.
Am I enjoying the nice weather? It's 75 degrees in February, and I'm not driving a Maserati convertible.
Yes. So, yeah, it's late. So this might be one of these lethargic episodes. I might fall asleep. Hey, I want to jump into something first before we even get into Agent Carter. So,
all right.
A couple of things. I was playing on Twitter, and I started putting up polls. And I put up a poll about should we see Deadpool and do a special episode about Deadpool, because, we did that when we first started. We did, like when the new movies came out, we did them, and then we stopped mainly because we didn't have time or we were broke or who knows. But for Deadpool, I know that Alil on This Week in Geek, we said we're going to have a This Week in Geek screening. We're going to all go to it on a Tuesday, although you're going to be working and Edward can't go, meaning Chris and I are going. Are you guys interested in doing like a Deadpool discussion? Are you going to be able to see it?
Well, I'm going opening night and actually also reviewing it for my podcast, The League Geeks.
Okay.
But no problem talking about it again.
All right, man. Well, according to the poll, I just put the poll up not even an hour ago, 57 minutes ago. And so far, under heck yeah, 83%. Under nah, stick to the MCU. We did have somebody say that. So one person out there doesn't want to hear it. And nobody has voted for us to just watch Fantastic Four instead. So thank God.
Shoo!
Thank God nobody's said that one. Well, I did a typo. I put so F4 instead with a period after it. It looks very strange. So maybe they just think, what is that? That's all right.
Because nobody else saw it.
It's like a way of just dodging the Fantastic Four thing.
What is Fantastic Four? Was that a movie?
Oh, can you call it that?
I don't know. I heard it was so bad, I never went to see it.
Yeah, well, I told the story about me seeing it. It was not even 3 minutes, and I really wanted to gouge my eyes out. That was awful. That was awful.
But don't you you're like a chronic sleeper through a lot of movies, aren't you?
This didn't even hold my interest for 3 minutes. Hey, did I tell you guys I made it all the way through Age of Ultron?
Yeah, actually you did.
I did, okay.
I remember that.
Yeah.
What about Lord of the Rings? I can't imagine you made it through the Lord of the Rings. Not a one of them.
No, Jack, I watched the extended edition in the theater of all 3 films. 13 hours, and I never fell asleep. Not even once.
I think I got close on the third one.
With the 4-hour goodbye segment? Yes.
Yeah.
No, I stayed through the credits at the end. I just was like, this is fantastic.
Wow. So, did you stay awake through this episode of Agent Carter? That's the question I have.
Here's my honest thought on this. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I'm still loving the show. Like, it started, I was excited to watch it. I love her. I love, and this one, I really liked the flashback stuff. I thought, finally, they're kind of getting into a story here. But I gotta say, I ended up tweeting during it, and I ended up looking at my phone, because there's just not enough happening.
I thought the same thing. It's really good. They had a little action. I thought they're getting a little silly with Jarvis. It's a little too much comic relief with the fact that he can barely summon enough strength to knock on a door. Yeah,
did that seem dumb to you?
Yeah, it's bordering on slapstick.
Yeah, it's like once again, I think we've got different writers involved, and I really think that they're missing the mark. They're making caricatures of Jarvis and kind of Peggy.
Yeah.
And I think I know something else that's wrong, because tonight it was very blatant to me. Even though I didn't hate it, Okay. It's the California thing.
Hmm.
When she had
Like
the red glasses on and everything, and I'm watching that, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, this seems really like out of place and very obvious. Hey, we can save on budget if we just film outside in California.
A little bit. I kind of like I like the storyline. I like the fact that they're out there and they're kind of tying in with kind of post World War II research and some of these things. But I don't know, like, it was almost like they did a reboot. Like, we got the whole, like, her whole history again, like, from a different perspective.
Well,
like,
you know what? We never saw young Peggy before.
Yeah.
But Alil, you're deep on this stuff. Did it seem weird to you that the timeline of her with the wedding, and then when you think of it in perspective with Captain America? Because she's awfully strong by the time she's in Captain America. How many years difference can that really be?
Yeah, there was a lot that bothered me with all that. Like, well, I want to first start with, before we get into that, I don't think they needed this for Peggy Carter. We already have a backstory on a character. We don't need to be now shown these flashbacks of why she got into the...
Yeah, right.
I don't need to know that her brother passed and how close she was. You already got that she was already a different type of woman during a different era. I don't need to know this. To me, this was the reason why they were doing this is they were trying to play off on the differences in the upbringing between her and Whitney Frost. Did not like that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a contrast there, but did you notice they didn't go back to the Whitney Frost stuff as much as the Agent Carter, or at least it didn't feel that way. Right. So I kind of forgot they were doing Whitney's backstory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't really need that much of hers. I think we got enough. And I think it was that, that typical, every time a new Spider-Man thing came out, it was always a reboot and a restart. And I think these writers are from that school. And I think it would have been okay if we had a full season of episodes. Like, if I had from now until summer, okay, and then, your 8 episodes or whatever, and then they break for 3 or 4 months, and then you get the other 8 or whatever it is. And okay, you've got pacing, you've got to get all the way to 23. We don't have till 23.
No, we've only got 10.
Yeah. And I think the pacing's off. And I think everything is great, but I think they're pacing for 23 and not 10 to me.
Yeah. Like, but then by the end, like, the stuff with Frost, I mean, that was something happened. I was like, hey, this is cool. She absorbed that guy. And I thought all of that was pretty cool. And I did like the interrogation scene.
Yeah.
And Peggy was Peggy again in that. That was the best part of that. She was back to being that character.
Yeah, but it was for 5 minutes.
Right.
It more to me annoyed me because it was only for 5 minutes. Like, I would rather see, which they're setting up, between her and Red. I mean, that's kind of where it's going,
right.
Them down. It just seemed like, Jack, you're right. It is the pace. They're making this super episodic when they shouldn't. They should be giving us what we want so we keep falling in love with a short series.
Right. Right.
Before we, you got on, me and Rob were talking about the X-Files. The X-Files is doing a very similar short run here. Hopefully they continue on with these things. But this last episode was like a perfect episode for people who love that series can go back. It was fun. It was exciting. It didn't really do plot.
It was a standalone.
It was a fluff episode for a micro series, but it was fun.
It was like a micro series within a micro series. Like, boom, one self-contained thing. It was great. It was like a love letter.
Yeah,
Whereas
cool.
here, it feels like 10 episodes, and they're stretching it across 10 episodes. This is like a 2-episode show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I just want it to be so good because I like so many aspects of it.
I think, unfortunately, if it is, I don't know much about the writers, and I think once they kind of get going, it'll get a little better. Much like, I think I said this last time about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It took a while to kind of get that groove. Unfortunately, this show already had a groove, and but it's enjoyable. The interplay. I like the fact that that she's been flirting a bunch with the Invisible Man. Although the fact that her and Sousa are this kind of almost ran thing is kind of getting annoying.
Yeah. You know what? This is another point that I was thinking about tonight. And I'm torn because I'm actually this time I actually liked what was happening with Frost. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas in the other ones I thought, okay, we've got, we're getting another super powered type thing here, and that doesn't feel true to the series. This I could kind of buy. I'm having a harder time buying our invisible guy. I'm having a harder time buying that whole thing. And tonight it just seemed a little like, once again, like comic relief, where I'm like, okay, why are we having these characters? Why are we doing this? Why aren't we just getting a hard-boiled, like, that was the corner of the universe I thought we were getting. Kind of a hard-boiled, noirish Marvel story.
Right. You've got the Invisible Man who's locked into this quantum whatever, and all he does is sit and write on the chalkboard and flirt with Agent Carter, and then they talk about not being able to feel, and that she like literally is biting her lip, going, you know what she's thinking.
Yeah,
she's thinking, if this guy, wasn't was in this universe, there'd be a different kind of scene happening right now.
Yeah.
But it takes bow chicka bow bow, and it takes away from this kind of show, I think.
Yeah, once again, I think that's where we're missing the mark, is the California thing. Something's wrong there for me, and the fact that it's not just like a detective show that had. I mean, okay, tonight when I was doing all this tweeting and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was going through and I was finding all these great pictures of Agent Carter that I was tweeting out. And I was like, hey, these are cool. And then I realized everything that was cool was from last season. All those, shots of her in the red hat and the poses and her like fighting. And I was like, oh, this stuff is all awesome. And it had a grittier look to it. And I'm not saying like Dark Knight gritty, but it needs to be in that. It's like the Netflix stuff is contained in a certain part of the Marvel universe now.
Right.
They always say the street level characters. Okay. It all kind of has that look. They've done 2 series now. They have a certain kind of feel to them. They're gritty. You know what you're getting into now. With Agent Carter, we're not getting what we got last season as far as the tone.
She seemed like, I don't want to say a Marvel superhero, but she was like a Marvel character and had that grit.
She seems
and she
like
was kicking butt.
She seemed last year like she's the badass that's going to end up in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. Whereas this time she is, but I don't know. It seems like
taking a backseat to everything.
Yeah, it seems like this is more of a vehicle to introduce us to Madame Mask, which is kind of a weird choice that they're going to waste this character at this point. That could be a pretty big character for them.
Right.
And if if this is where they want to put that character, let's get it on, because this is 4 episodes. We finally got some momentum there, or some movement with it, not momentum, but I'm afraid we're not going to see that gold mask go on until the last episode, if even then.
Right. And then what? Are you going to save it for like a whole other year before you resolve the story?
Well, that's the thing. I'm nervous that other people are feeling the way we are. I want this show to get picked up. It's a sophomore slump. I think it's worth way too much. It's too good to dump, but I'm afraid it could get dumped. I mean, yeah, Disney owns ABC, and there's no reason for them to dump it. But they've got so many other things in the works now that maybe this would go away, which would be unfortunate. I'd rather see this than see the Mockingbird series or that comedy, even though I have a feeling we're going to like those too.
Yeah, if it peters out.
I want to see that Mockingbird series. Take back what I said. I want to see Mockingbird. I love her.
That could very well be that they could say that's what's going to take that slot because you guys aren't hitting it out of the park. But I think the Madame Mask thing, when she revealed it, that her power to her husband, and just she knew she had that power. And she spent the entire time like trying to figure out what was going on with her face. And it was like, you know what? I can absorb this guy. I can make this problem go away. And yeah, it's going to jack my face up. And that was the whole big setup of how important her face was.
Right.
She was going to be on Time magazine. The whole upbringing with her kid, her stepmom, or whatever that was supposed to be was you're not going to be anything more than your face. And she just fully accepted the fact that her power is going to cost her that. And man, she just went on full force, and she turns to her husband, who's the future president of the United States, and said, do whatever I want to do. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. They showed us those the gold actor masks again. So I mean, they're telegraphing what's going on so strong. Do you think there's any chance that that's not who she is? That they're playing a game with us?
I think the only other option is she either gets sucked into the dimension or something happens. She gets killed or she gets cured. But I just don't see those as viable options.
I think she's going to end up morphing into whatever it is in her. I forgot what they called it. The zero.
Yeah, zero gunk.
And I think it's going to be where it's going to transcend the character, where they can use her again. Like with Dottie. I mean, Dottie, survived season 1.
Right.
And we don't know where she's at now. I mean, she's
if we don't get a season 3, we're never going to find out.
Right.
I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but the pace this is going, I don't see us getting a season 3.
Right. I agree. And it sucks because I do want it to continue. I like this show. And it's not even that I'm not liking it this season. I'm not dreading it. I'm excited when it comes on. I'm like, all right, here we go. But by the end, I'm looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Even my daughter likes watching. I mean, we watch it, the next day.
Yeah, Molly likes it too.
And my oldest, she loves watching it, and she's interested in it. Because she watched part of it yesterday, where I couldn't because I was ill. And she was explaining what was going on to me. She's like, "Oh, this is where the bad girl, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "This is hilarious," but it's cool, and that's why I want them to keep it because they need more of this.
Yeah, we do.
But,
something just occurred to me, and both of you almost confirmed it. I wonder if they switched the market position on this show. Like before, it was to the Marvel, to the older guys that are into Marvel, and they said, you know what? This is a Disney thing. This is a perfect thing for the younger kids. And what we're seeing is
the Disneyfication of this to make it to a younger audience.
Yeah, because
that's a misstep because it was wholesome enough. Like last year, we could watch it as a family.
Right.
The tone didn't need to change.
I don't want to, and don't say Disneyfication because season 1 was still under the same people. It was still under Disney's umbrella. So
right, but that's a general term where it's getting more skewing younger.
But as a
right,
but as
it's getting more kid friendly.
But as a Disney file, I take offense.
Oh yeah.
No, but you know what, Jack? You might be right. I mean, we do have a show, Supergirl, right now, which I think really teeters on to that younger female demographic. And maybe
Molly loves that one too.
And Mia and Ava, my daughters, love it as well. So, which I love it too, but
and that's
different reasons.
That could be driving the market because
hey, she's going to be at S2e4, by the way.
I know she is. I'm kind of being the girls.
All right.
So that could be where it's headed because if you can market it to the younger kids, then that drives sales, that drives comics, that drives the little figurines.
Not if it gets canceled.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing, though, with that, Jack. They're not selling anything with Agent Carter on it. You know what I mean? Like Supergirl, eventually they'll have figures because that's just what they do. And you can go and find Supergirl figures. I can't find it except for a Funko
except for
Pop.
that Funko Pop. That's it.
Yeah, there's nothing Peggy Carter. I mean,
yeah.
So if they were headed that way, I think you would see merchandise. You would see like girl shirts and like they have Star Wars now. I mean, you go to the Star Wars section at some of these clothing stores, in the girls section, they have tons of Star Wars stuff. And it's,
Right.
if I saw Agent Carter on a t-shirt, I would be like, ding, 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 ding. Yep. Jack is 100% here. I just don't know. I think maybe they're right now in between and lost and don't know which way they should go, because we're just getting, it's weird tones back and forth, because they want to give us the strong women, and then they're giving us, like you said, Peggy sitting there looking at him with a quivering lip, and I'm like,
yeah, right. That's not Peggy.
No.
I mean, how long did it take before she got a quivering lip over Captain America? And he had a lot more going on than this guy.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of baffling, but at the same time, you want to like it. It's enjoyable. I think that's kind of where we have to leave it. I think it's that conundrum of, like, I'm enjoying it, but really, what are they doing with it? Instead of being excited for the next episode, I'm biting my nails going, God, I hope it gets better.
I thought you were going to bite your lip.
Yeah, my quivering lip.
Oh, Jack's biting his quivering lip? Well, Jack.
Somebody's hot for the scientist.
Only if it were Halle Berry.
That's true.
Yeah.
The
So,
good old days.
was there any? Let's take a different approach. What did you guys think? I mean, were there any standout moments? Are there anything that you think of that you're like, you know what, this was really cool? Like you mentioned one, Jack. You thought that something was cool. I forget what. Got buried in all this.
Well,
Welcome to
when
the
they
old man
finally
club where we
established-
complain about everything.
when they finally established, I'm just gonna call her Madame Mask. I'm just gonna go there. When she established her power,
Yeah.
and it came out of the closet, and bam, she's using it. Her husband is like quivering in the corner.
Quivering
And-
lip. Yeah, at the end of this, that's where all of a sudden it was like, oh, hey, this is cool.
Right. So if they go with that, and okay, we've got a mystery. We've got, because science guy, he's seeing that zero gravity thing inside the chalkboard. He's being kind of pulled towards it. He's got a lot of things going that we haven't seen yet. Now they need to launch. I think they're going to launch him. Something's going to happen next time. And now Madame Mask I think she's going full force. And okay, now you've got mysteries and things going on that if they really get on top of it, the next episode, I think will be killing.
All right, I hope so.
It's a good setup. You just,
It just took too long to get here. This should have all kind of been there by the end of the first episode.
Right. But it's got, I don't know. They've had that still story with Sousa.
They should have kept him in New York, because if they had kept him in New York, you would still have the Dottie threat. Like the things that were established last season would still be brewing around her. It's like last season was inconsequential. They got rid of it in the beginning of this episode.
Do you think?
This season.
Because Peggy's not going to stay out there. This is going to be over soon, and with the head guy rating his, obviously their boss is plugged into the Council of Nine, or where the Hydra group. Because
you mean Red?
He's playing ball with the big boys. I think this could be the end of Sousa's command. I think it'll be a good time to say, you know what, you're no longer in charge of this office. You tried to help Peggy, and we're sending you back to New York. Do you see that happening at all, or
I hope.
am I just? I think that's what's going to happen.
I don't. Here's the thing, because I think I was wrong too in thinking this. Like we think that Peggy is going to take down Red and the Council of Nine, when we think that this council is, part of, or an allegiance of, or an evolution of Hydra.
Right.
And we know Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and has been around and never really went away. And this is one of their forms after World War II.
Right.
So Peggy, in a sense, doesn't win. I don't know where they're going to go with this now. And I'm looking at this. You're talking about Susan going back to New York, and maybe, but what would that really do except just reset the background to New York? And is that what we need? Is that
I think it is, but I see your point. And really, things can't be resolved. She can't resolve these 9. Things can't be resolved because they have to lead to something that we've seen much later. It's like they've written themselves into the prequel problem.
Yeah. I don't think it's a huge problem because I don't think, like you say, the Council of Nine is either their version of Hydra or some Hydra faction. I do see that Peggy is going to beat Red. That, within the system itself, that their hold over him has to go away, because otherwise there's no way she's going to progress to the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. Not as long as Red is around. And I think he's that big bad, the cop show where, the bad cop and IED, eventually figures it out. I think that's where he's going to go. I think he's the disposable character in this.
So, all right, we go back to what I had asked, Alil. Was there something you liked in this episode?
Outside of what we've already talked about, no. No, what we talked about the scene where they kidnapped the one guy and Peggy was Peggy for 5 minutes. Like that. Like the scene, because I didn't like any of the flashback stuff. I didn't care for that. I'm telling you, this episode, after I finished it, I was really disappointed.
Yeah. Well, see, you know what? I disagree though. See, because I did kind of like the flashback stuff. I didn't love it. I'll tell you where the Peggy stuff, when she was a little girl, I kind of liked that. I thought that was kind of cool. Showing her at that age. When she hit teenage, I lost interest really fast. And then when she was getting married, I was like, what the hell is going on here? I didn't like any of that. I want to think of Peggy Carter turning into the Peggy Carter we saw in Captain America without these like goofy bumps in the middle. Although I did kind of like when she was in the secretary pool and the guy called her in and was like, look, they're going to put you in this. I thought that was a pretty good scene. But yeah, I agree that they weren't nearly as strong as they could have been. But I do disagree in that I did kind of like that.
I think it was unnecessary.
I do think it was unnecessary. It was cluttering our story.
Exactly, and that's why it bothered me, because I want a solid story. You are giving me a show in the 40s where we're not really expecting the super fantastical, which we were getting in a sense with, the Invisible Man and all this stuff. But it's supposed to be, like you said, more gritty and grounded. So I want, with that, when you get into that territory, you want to tell a good, cohesive story. You don't want to tell a jumbled up mess. And I'm not saying that this is a mess at this point. It could get to that point. But you're telling me stuff that is unnecessary. I know where Peggy is, and I know who Peggy Carter is.
Right.
And for the most part, I think most of the fans of the show know who Peggy Carter is. We're speaking from, three guys here who know a lot about superheroes and comics and stuff like that.
Well, at least one guy here.
Well, yeah.
But you.
But in a sense, like, you don't need a lot of that. And I think they were trying to do that mirror thing, similar how they did it in the first season with Dottie and Peggy.
Right.
We don't need to keep doing that.
No, and it was way better then.
True, but we don't always need this foil for Peggy that has to be a similar, right. You have this, you have that. And the Dottie background, not Dottie, Whitney background, like, I didn't need it. And
yeah. Are they trying to make her Peggy's Joker?
No, they're trying to make it sympathetic. Like, she grew up with a hard life. Her mom was, this and.
So we're supposed to be sympathetic for the villain.
I think that's what they're
because at the end, she's not like making a moral choice. She's just a villain.
Right. But we're trying to see why she became the villain.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't need to see Armin Zola as a little kid.
We don't get a sense of that sympathy.
No, we don't. And that's
he was wasted.
I agree. Did you need to see her mom telling her to be nice to her uncle multiple times? No.
He's not her uncle.
I was doing air quotes over the podcast. But you know what?
I'm going to send you some pictures to show you what was going on there. Hold on. No, I'm kidding.
Whoa. No.
This is Jack, and this is the big sandwich.
Well, last season, we could see, okay, here's Agent Carter. Here's a woman that is more competent than anybody in the office, yet she's a woman in the 40s.
Right.
And this is the girl that she's going after. And this is that story, and this is the progression of Peggy Carter, and we could see that evolution. What's the evolution that we have on Peggy Carter so far, like this season, after, 4 episodes? Is there any progression other than we started over?
No, that's exactly how I feel. I feel like they're over.
It's the story.
And it's also confusing to me. Here's what's confusing me. You got an entity like the SSR, which we know is going to be S.H.I.E.L.D., a government entity. You know, we categorize it as the FBI, the CIA, and all this stuff. So we've got Red coming in. I keep forgetting what his name is. Every time I see him, it's just Red.
It's just Red. Just go with Red.
He's the dad from that 70s show.
Right.
Exactly. He's Red. But he keeps coming in with this almighty power over everyone. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, Peggy already made a huge name for herself multiple times. So where is this coming from? Like, why is this man have all this power over everyone? And it just doesn't make sense to me at this point. I guess
once again, that was why that's one of the reasons they put him out in California. We can just write this character in as if this guy is controlling things, but he's out there. So this is a new threat to her on a professional level.
You're right. So it's retelling season 1.
Yeah.
But
I would rather see this be LA Confidential with Peggy Carter. That would be amazing.
What's the other one? What's the not LA Law? What's the
LA Law.
CSI Agent Carter? That's what I want.
But like 1940s CSI. Yes.
Yeah.
Black lights back then.
But you know what? Make it no, because CSI doesn't have any story. We'd be complaining about that too. If that was 10 episodes, we'd be like, wow, that was 10 episodes. There was like half a story there.
Yeah, but she'd find a body, she'd solve the crime, and we'd have a finishing and an ending.
Yeah, I almost wish we wouldn't. I almost wish that we were doing universe building that wasn't so obvious. Like the fact that we're getting these super powered characters in that, it's like we didn't get those right away on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Why are we getting them right here? And stop setting the plate for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't care. That's a different show.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're kind of pretty much where we started.
Darn it.
Go back to episode 1 of our Agent Carter show.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, so this was episode 4. So we got 6 more of these, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to be dragged over the 6. Although, like I said, I mean, by the time tonight hit, I was ready for it.
It's like almost either you keep expecting it to get better or you forget. You know, it's like over the course of a week, you're like, well, yeah, I think it really wasn't all that bad.
I think that I see her in the commercials and I really like her. I like her as Carter. So I think I'm seeing Peggy Carter, and then I start watching it and I start looking at my phone. I really think that's what it is.
I'm going to mark my words and say, I think next week, I'm marking them right here. I think next week is going to be a big step up because it took a long time, but they unleashed Madam Mask and they've got to do something with it. I also think somehow Red is going to, I think he's going to fire Sousa. I think it gets back to New York City, and I think we're on our way.
All right. Alil, do you have hope, or are you like...
I hope he's right. You know what? I know it seems like we are super down after this episode, but, I don't think it's doom and gloom. I think they can fix it really quickly. Like Jack said, if they come back here with a hard-hitting, fun...
With a good episode? Yes.
I want to see the fun in Agent Carter.
And not the slapsticky Jarvis falls asleep fun. That's not fun.
I didn't need that at all.
That's not Jarvelous.
No, I want to see him working stuff but quietly behind the scenes, like the competent butler that Jarvis is.
Well, I want to see him be her partner and not a gag man. And that's really all they're doing. But we were set up with that in the first episode of this season, when all of a sudden he was like, oh, wanting to be like a lapdog to her because he was so excited to get back into it, because he's bored. Stark isn't there. And it's like, I knew this is what was going to happen with him.
Right.
And I would rather see him be the confident butler. He's there setting up Stark stuff, and he is going to help her because he knows her and he's got the time to do it.
How mad would the Batman people be if they made the butler kind of that slapstick kind of character?
You mean if they made Alfred like this?
Yeah. I think people would just be besides themselves and writing letters and emails. And I don't think people write letters anymore, but I think there would be strongly worded emails and nasty tweets if they did that with Alfred.
Yeah.
It's like Batman came home from a long day, but man, Alfred had all the ducks in a row. If he needed, support, boom, Alfred was there. Dude was like 80 years old. You knew he wasn't going to be doing a bunch of action, but man, he was that support network, and he was always there when nobody else was. And now how are you going to do that with Jarvis? Because he's sitting in the back juggling bowling pins and jumping through a ring of fire.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
All
right. Boy, you guys have bummed me out. So, all right, was there any other Marvel news this week? Anything we got to cover?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right. Wow. I can't believe that the only Marvel we got out of the week was an okay episode of Agent Carter. That's about it. I'm really surprised. Well, you know what? It's coming, because as we get closer to Civil War, there's going to be a lot more stuff hitting out there. There's going to be a lot more news coming our way. So, hopefully, it won't be another week like this where we feel kind of down on things.
No, I'm seeing the rocket launching.
All right. I hope you're right.
That's my final answer.
All right. Well, let's give social media. Let's get out of this one. Jack, you go first.
I'm at Down at Marvel. No, just kidding. At Jay Wengrosky on Twitter, and come check out our show on the Blacklist. We've got some new things coming out, and check out the Facebook stuff. That's about it. Yeah. All right. Alil?
I am at LOGEEKZ on Twitter, and that's for the League of Geeks podcast. That's Geeks with a Z. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. I am the League of Geeks Alil. So yeah, I know confusing, but hey. So that's where I'm at.
All right. And as far as this goes, we've got the Twitter account. You can tweet us at Nuff Said Podcast. You can email, do it to the company. It's the easiest way. I never check the Nuff Said email. So send it to southgatemediagroup@gmail.com. You can go to our website and find past episodes of this and all of our podcasts. We've got 86 podcasts. I made an official count this week. Different titles. And the website is southgatemediagroup.com. For Nuff Said, it's /Nuff Said Podcast. We also have an Instagram. So if you go to instagram.com/Nuff Said Podcast, you'll find that. And we're going to have a clamor soon, too. But we don't have anything we can say about that yet. So, but we're going to have clamor. We're going to have all sorts of stuff going on. So lots of fun coming up very soon. You can follow me at @Southgate. And that is it. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Next week, Jack's words were marked. It's going to be amazing. Nuff said.
Nuff said.